as long as you have accepted for this handsome young man to take your daughter as his wife, you have to trust the process.
Perfect.
Hi everyone, I'm Simbi.
I'm Olamide.
And welcome back to our YouTube channel. So today we have a very special guest with us, our very first guest on this YouTube channel.
Yep. We have mommy in the house. We have Simbi's mom.
I was going to ask them to guess.
Yeah, I mean, look at this resemblance.
Whose mom they think it is.
Very easy guess. Very easy guess.
But yes, we have my mother with us today. We are here to quiz her. She doesn't know what is going to happen.
She has no idea.
She just knows that she's here on set.
I think she's a little nervous. But it's okay.
But yeah, any opening words?
Just a word of prayer.
Okay.
We thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. I thank you for this channel. And we ask everybody to click, like, and subscribe. I've always wanted to say that.
In Jesus' name.
Amen. Alright.
Nice one. As you all know, we got married, I guess, depending on who you're asking, it may or may not have been young.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably safe to say we got married young.
Also depending on the times, because again, I always have this debate in my head that like, I feel like back then at a point, it wasn't young, but then it was young. And anyway, and through our marriage process and journey, our parents have been a big part of that. So we just want to get some insight into like how they felt. Well, how my mom specifically, because she's the one here today, felt about the process and just what we do even on this channel. So yeah, we'll start with some questions. So the year was, I think, 2019 when I came to you. I think I remember the scene clearly. I was on the stairs in the house.
Was it the stairs or the kitchen?
Maybe after, oh yes, it was the kitchen, then I left.
Yeah.
And I kept mumbling from the stairs.
Yeah.
But I mentioned to you that, well, I posed it as a question. I was like, how would you feel if I told you I wanted to get married? And I think then I was like, maybe 2021.
2019.
Should we do math? Okay, 22.
Yes.
So you were 22.
Wait, it was before all
So
that.
you were 21.
No, it was
I was 21.
21.
Yeah.
And I asked what you thought.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
I was upset.
Why?
Because I just felt it was just like a random thing. She just came down to the kitchen and said, how would you feel if I got married or something to that?
Like soon or something. Or in the next year, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe in the next. And I was like, why would you even think that now? It's like you're young. You had finished college like maybe 2 years prior or a year.
A year,
and you had been working. And I was just thinking to myself, you just finished, you started working, we haven't even had a chance to enjoy you after college, and you're just talking about marriage. I was like, you're too young. I said, we're not having this conversation.
Literally. Cut the conversation short.
Wait, I didn't even know that part.
Yeah.
I was like, we're not having this conversation. It's nothing I want to talk about. You're too young and I'm not discussing it. And you got upset and just walked upstairs.
At what age did you get married?
27.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
27.
So do you think that shaped your view of what it meant to be young?
Well,
or?
I think in hindsight, thinking about it now, it's not about age. It's about how ready you are, because in our generation, well, I was raised basically abroad, so I wouldn't even say the Nigerian generation. But I think what we think as African parents is like, you have to be a certain age. But now I understand that being a certain age is, those children at that age are not independent enough to be able to live alone. So that is why they say you have to be a certain age, because a lot of the parents actually support the children into settling down. But it's not the case over here with you guys, because you're already working, you earn your own money. You were still kind of half at home and half not at home?
No, I was out at that point.
Yeah. So what
She used to come
So
home.
what did you
Yeah,
go and do to her house?
I was living in Philly then, and I
Was
just
it Philly
came
or
from the.
Birmingham? Yeah, it was
Okay,
At that
Philly
point,
already.
I think I was, because if it was 2019,
Yeah.
I had left Birmingham. That's how I had easy access.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
Yeah. So yeah, to me it was. I guess it was just a sense of the way African parents think like you have to be a certain age, but now understanding that it's not even a matter of age.
Yeah.
Because even in the days of the Bible, people were getting married at 15,
Yeah.
16.
They were doing lots of things
Early,
very,
yeah.
very young.
So, yeah.
So then at what point did you begin to lean? Okay, so at that point of me asking, we actually weren't in a relationship
No.
officially.
Oh, really?
No, I was
Why
just,
were you asking?
I mean, I felt it in my spirit. I was just trying to like feel out.
We were trying
but
to
yeah, like
really? That's
literally
weird.
we weren't
test the waters.
Yeah. We weren't in anything yet. So you asked me, oh, is there anyone? And I was honestly
Exactly.
like, no, I'm just asking.
Yeah, because I was like, and where did that come from? You
Yeah.
just asked. It was just very funny.
Yeah, so like I don't know. At what point did you feel your mindset started to shift or change or open up? Because two of your kids, I mean, got married relatively
Early, yeah.
young.
I don't think there was a particular time my mind shifted. I think it was just the way things were going. It was then you got into a relationship with this handsome young man here who, and I think I watched the relationship and I had to think to myself, like, I raised this girl right. She knows what to do. I think it's time for me to just let her go.
Yeah.
I think it's a thing of wanting to still hold on to something, really, because you feel the fear of, okay, my daughter is actually going out to the world. Actually, doesn't mean going to college and getting a job. I mean, I understand how going out into the world is getting with somebody and going away.
Yeah.
So it feels, you've lost. You feel you're losing that connection with your daughter, with your child, or with your son, because they're actually going to be with somebody else.
Yeah.
Who is going to be responsible for things in their life.
And you now have to start respecting them
That
as a
space,
as a unit.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Versus your child.
So
only.
you're not relegated to the advisory board.
Wherever I'm
Right.
CEO.
So I think it's the thing of you're losing that
control.
whatever.
We'll say how it is.
Well, yeah.
No, there's an element of like releasing, and it's like, wow, I raised this child for all these years.
Yeah.
They've been mine primarily. Now
Yeah.
I'm kind of giving them away,
Yeah.
and it's going to be different.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
That's cool. I think it gives us like a perspective, like a parent's perspective, right? Because we've never been a parent. Most of the people that we speak to never been parents, so it kind of helps us understand what's going through the minds of parents when situations come like that. Yeah, it's like a lot of people talk about when you're young, they say don't marry, then you get to a certain age, they say,
Just asking, where's your boyfriend?
Where's the boyfriend now? Where is the
Like-
boyfriend? It's like you are the one that was saying don't, but understanding that it has to be some kind of balance between that. How did you feel? Right? How did you feel when I called you?
I was upset.
I remember when I called you on FaceTime. And I was like, I don't even remember the exact words that I used.
remember, it's a blur.
And it was funny because prior to that, we always play around and joke around, so I felt very comfortable. So I was like, let me call mommy and tell her what I'm planning to do now. So I called you and I was like, I'm thinking about...
what's up?
No, absolutely not. I was
So
like,
casual.
I'm planning on proposing to Simbi. So
I can't remember what I said because I was like, what's wrong with these people?
What's wrong with these people?
Your
And that was
face-
probably like what, maybe 8 months into our relationship.
yeah, we started this in October. This call probably happened in
July
June.
or June. Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe June. Yeah, June or July. I don't remember exactly.
About 8-9 months.
Yeah, and then let me remind you.
Because I can't
Your
remember
face-
the call.
Because your
Oh, it was
face.
FaceTime.
It was FaceTime.
Oh, okay.
It was FaceTime.
And I don't like FaceTime without permission. It was like,
No, but we always used to FaceTime. No
Yeah.
wahala now. So And then your face the whole thing just changed. I said, hey. But it wasn't like, it became serious, a serious conversation real quick. And then he started asking me serious questions.
He always tells me that like you grilled him really hard.
She grilled me.
I grill everybody. Anybody that comes my way gets grilled. I don't know. I'm just like that because I think it's always. But the funny thing is, I grill people because I like to do my due diligence. I like to be. I like to have a feel of if this person is on the hot seat, how will they handle it?
Yeah.
And then life is like you always have all these hot seats here and there. But then grilling people doesn't even determine you'll get the right answer.
Yeah,
and some people might be ready.
Are good interviewers.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Some people are ready.
Yeah.
So you throw this at them, they give it back to you.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, I just do that to people just to have a feel of, because for me, good. I believe for you to say something to respond to my questions, it means you had a thought process.
Yeah.
Of thinking, okay, this I have to answer to this.
Yeah.
So it's on, it's on the spot at the moment. Like
and before I called you, I didn't like
practice
exactly. I think,
and you weren't expecting.
I was even expecting you to grill me. I just thought it was just going to be like a casual conversation.
That's my daughter. Do you know how long it took?
Yeah, but it's not like I've already ever asked anybody to marry their daughter before. I don't know what to expect. So I
Google is your friend.
And before that, our conversations and interactions were very cool and light and easy going.
You want to marry
so, I think I don't remember all the questions, but you asked me, why do I think we're ready? I'm ready for marriage. You asked me, how old are you again? How old are you again?
Like, wait, come in first. Aren't you like 19?
I was 23 when we were having this conversation.
Like this 23-year-old guy.
So how old are you again? And then we say, okay, so why do you think you're ready? What's your genotype?
Yes,
and at the time, I was like, oh, this is my genotype. Yeah, like, well, that's not enough. I need to go and do a blood test and get me the results. I need to know your blood type. I need to know your genotype. And then what else? You should ask me a bunch of questions, and then he said before you didn't give me an answer. You're like, go and do your test and come back.
Exactly. Yeah, because I said there's no point giving you an answer if your tests are not what we want, what we expect it to be. Is no point. We can't go further.
Wait, so you would have really done that? Like if our genotypes didn't match?
Yeah.
So what if I was AS?
It's no point because you see, I see the suffering.
Hey,
yeah. No.
Anyway, I feel like we would have had to fight that one out.
Well,
no,
because it's like if it's a thing where I'm like, I feel called to this man.
Yeah.
You see, sometimes
and there are ways these days where people like.
Well, they do. Yeah, I think they do the test.
Things have changed.
It's very grueling. I don't know.
Yeah, it's still hard. I'm sure.
It is hard because I know people.
So anyway, thank God we didn't have to deal with that. But what if I was AS and obviously
that was why I told you I couldn't give you an answer. It's over. You have to. Simbi already knows. I told my children. I had already told them.
Yeah, because, that was one of the first things that I confirmed.
Yeah, because for them, well, it's a bit personal, but they're AS.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, your audience will like, and it will educate people to know.
Carrier of sickle cell.
So they have sickle cell traits.
Yeah.
All of them.
Right.
And I'm AA. So their father's blood is strong and they have the sickle cell trait. So I had told them from the jump when they were old enough to understand that when you get to the point of marriage, you cannot marry someone that's AS. Yeah. Because I know quite enough people that are sickle cell and it's a very, very, very painful disease.
Yeah.
So it's not worth it.
Yeah, even I remember like when Simbi and I first started talking, that was one of the first questions that she asked me.
Yeah, that's because I made them. I told them.
First question.
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah, that was the first question. Like, what's your genotype?
Yeah, even Sharif, Simbi, Samit, the little, everybody knows. Yeah. You cannot marry anybody that is AS.
Yeah.
Mado.
So whether you're in love or not.
Our marriage process was untraditional, would you say?
Well,
like, how did the courthouse, well, for you, right? So I think there's a standard African parent way of thinking, but I don't think you have that
typical African
standard way of thinking.
Yeah.
But
in the grand scheme of like Nigerian wedding is typically you go introduction, you do
I'm
engagement.
not. I really don't
you
care.
Do,
Yeah.
I guess courthouse and then white wedding.
Yeah,
and then-
but-
I don't know how that works. I'm not.
But
a
so
typical
yeah. But
How did the short engagement and how we got married? Like, how was that experience for you?
Well, short engagement and getting married. It was during the pandemic.
Because after he proposed, we wanted to get married in first it was like 2 weeks.
No, that was ridiculous.
Then
that
we were
was
like,
no, we wanted to get married in 1 week.
The reason why it was ridiculous because you couldn't be there. But I feel like if you were around, maybe you would have just
the whole
gone the
thing-
same
I
day.
feel like if you were there, it would not have been an issue.
Yeah, it was
It's
just
because
you
you
wanting
were
to be.
You
around.
guys just stressed me out with all those. It was just everything was just so ridiculous. It was like, what's going on with these people? You know?
No, but I think the reason is because you were not around and you wanted to be around. I feel like even if
I had to be around because
Exactly.
they were saying, "Oh, we want to do it at the court." I think because the pandemic or something. It was like, then wait. If it's gonna take forever, you have to wait.
Okay,
and I
but-
wasn't going to be around. And then, how would you have a wedding without me being there?
Right, which makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
that made sense. And then
Right.
you were able to be there.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually, yeah.
so how was that? Because we were engaged for
Maybe 4. I ended up being like 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh,
Was it?
weeks.
Yeah.
5
He proposed
weeks.
September what? 14th.
oh yeah, it was
We
like
got-
it was like 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Well, I guess I always made fun of Simbi, my children, because they got married as virgins. Since you didn't give me the test questions, the cheat sheet, so I'll say what I have to say.
Right, so that's how we
Yeah.
talk on this channel.
No, because I always make fun of my children that Christian children who are virgins, they rush to get married so that they can start having sex.
It's part of it.
Exactly. So when Simbi was rushing, I said, this girl that doesn't know anything, now she's engaged, she just wants to get married and figure it out.
Well, it's
Wow.
actually
Yeah.
I'm hearing this for the first time,
Yes.
but it's actually a plus.
No,
for
because
us.
Simbi said, of course, because she didn't want to be tempted because
Yeah,
you were
but, a lot of
engaged
people
and
don't
you-
think about
And during
that.
the pandemic, you stayed together, so
Yeah.
A lot of people don't think about that. A lot of people,
I guess that's why they got married early in the Bible days.
But the truth is, like, what are you waiting for? Especially if you want the type to want to have like a big party or anything. I honestly feel like the formalities that most
They
people
prepare for
do,
the big
It's
wedding.
like-
preparation.
No. Like, I'm saying that all the steps that at times the Nigerian culture makes you take, not saying that they're bad, but at times it can lead good Christian people
Astray.
into, especially if you aren't able to communicate and put your own foot
Okay.
down and say, okay, like, even if we're doing this trad and all this next year, I'm sure
Okay,
going
they
to
think
go
they're
to the
engaged and we're
courthouse
going
and-
to get married anyway, so we can as well really do it.
But like, that's not how
The
it's
right
supposed
way
to
to
be.
do it. You
So
have to
because
be-
you're trying to wait for a big event, you end up in this limbo period for so long, and some people end up
The courtship
engaged for
period.
like 2 years. Then
that's too long.
so it's like,
yeah.
what are you're engaged to be married.
Yeah.
The engagement isn't to check if it's the right person.
You already checked before you proposed.
Yeah,
Well, we
so
should have.
You
I hope
so yeah, that's
Yeah.
just how I see it. There's no need to it.
Yeah. Well, and then we had your brother who was rushing me on one side too. So
Yeah.
it was really, it was a weird time for me.
We got married 2 days apart. Me
It
and
was
Sherry.
like, they didn't, I think you guys planned it.
No,
No, it wasn't
not
planned.
at all. I think he proposed a month earlier than us, though.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, I think they got engaged like August.
Probably, maybe
I
shortly
don't
after their
remember.
birthday or
I
something.
don't remember.
Yeah, I think their
So I
engagement
had
was
these
before.
2 adult children who wanted to get married at the same time.
Literally.
And they did.
And we both went to do our own
yeah,
cutouts.
so one was in New York, the other
Yeah.
one was in Maryland.
Yeah. It was a fun time.
It was fun.
Yeah,
It was fun.
ended up being good.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking back, is there anything you would change?
Absolutely nothing.
Hmm.
When God is in the midst of something, there is nothing you physically as a person can change or will want to change. Because I think it worked out. What would have been different?
Or no, even like in how you approached things. Is there anything you would change about like how you felt throughout the experience?
Well, you can never change how you feel because it comes as a spontaneous event.
Yeah.
So you feel what you feel when it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys came to me, shocked me. I was expecting to enjoy these adults, for
How
a few
though?
years.
Like, I don't even understand.
Like I keep saying, I was expecting you to cook for me for a few years before you go to
I
your
wasn't
neighbor's
even
house.
living in your house.
Well, if you come at least. So I told her, I said, no, I think another thing I said was, I need to train you for another year.
Yeah, I think that came
Yeah.
Why just now
I
one
said-
extra year?
Yeah, I said, I need
All
to train
these
you.
things started
for-
flying from
I said, I need to train you for an extra year before you go into a man's house. You need to learn this, and I was thinking, what exactly am I going to teach her?
Like in 1 year that you haven't already
No,
taught
it's
me
like, okay,
in
maybe
22
teach
years.
you to cook this food, cook that, cook all sorts of things. I don't know. It's I just needed something to say.
When you start pulling things out because it's like,
Yeah.
this is too stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
Well,
so
I don't think I would have changed anything. Everything happened the way God wanted it to happen.
And it worked out. If you don't know our story, you should watch the videos. But we ended up having a reception a year after our official marriage ceremony. So we ended up having a reception. We kind of coined it like a 1 year anniversary, but they were like, no, it's just your reception. So whatever. Our reception. And how did you feel when we said...
No, I remember we did something in Nigeria though.
Oh yes, you guys did do something
Yeah.
on our behalf in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But because it was the pandemic year, so you guys couldn't come.
Something like that.
All this stuff.
So how did you feel? Because when we had the reception,
Yeah.
we were very specific about how we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And we said we didn't want any Ashobi.
Yeah.
How did you feel? And how did you manage that?
Well, the thing is, because I have, older siblings who have a way of doing things, like, they're more traditional and more into the culture than I am. So it was like, okay, Simbi's having this wedding and her husband, Simbi and Olamide are getting married. Of course, they're already married, but they're having the reception. And this is the time for us to show out, like, let's just take, a royal purple or something. I'm telling you, my head was like, it's going to be purple. Even though I'm not crazy about it, I'm not an Ashwebi person anyway, naturally. So to me, it didn't matter. But then I think her older siblings, their mom, was asking me that, are they going to have a color and something? And I said, so she was about going for, those kind of things. And I said, oh, maybe, let me ask her. And Simbi said, absolutely not. No, Ashwebi, no. But it now turned out so beautiful the way you wanted to. Everything you planned was ordained by God.
Yeah.
Everything. So it was really beautiful. I loved the whole ambience, the location, everything, Simbi is like a bridezilla.
Really?
She planned everything.
Bridezilla. And the reason why we didn't want Ashwebi is because
that was what we were going for.
Yeah, one. That's not.
And
what
it's so chaotic.
But the main reason is because of the expense.
Yeah,
Ashwebi it costs a lot of money for people.
Yeah, true.
Generally, like people spend if people pull out their bank statement,
I know,
and figure out how much they spend on Ashwebi every year, they'll be shocked.
Those are for people who go to parties all the time.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to add, we wanted people to come and have a good time without feeling any kind of
Pressure,
burden. And Ashwebi can become a burden.
Yeah.
That's just reality. True. Especially here in America, how much you pay for it, how much it costs to sew it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like, all right, well, let's take
I
that
even
out.
liked it, and because the location, the place you guys use for your wedding is not an Ashwebi place. So it would have been...
Nigerians, they would turn anywhere to Ashwebi.
it would have been, a bit, It was
anyway.
really nice and classy, and, and the crowd was really, it was nice.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Thanks. So what would your encouragement be to like a young couple, maybe, because to be honest, we have been very, very blessed to have you, to have like our other parents. Like, I feel like, it's a blessing to have parents that you can work with and talk with and not be stressed out by like
maybe just a little bit.
yeah, but I mean,
I don't-
I don't feel that because I'm very comfortable speaking my mind and we like will debate.
Simbi,
And it's
will
like
tell you everything.
if I believe strongly that
I was stressed.
if I believe that like the thing I'm doing is being led by God, I will, as respectfully as possible, debate and make sure that so but to those that maybe don't have the advantage of like understanding parents, what would you say to them? And then what would your advice be to the parent, like
the parents more are the people I need to talk to, because
speak to them for our friends.
Yes, I think the parents, because a lot of your friends' parents will be like in my generation in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And we're really more enlightened that we pretend not to be, Yeah, because, my generation, we're not like our fathers or our mothers.
Yeah.
We're more, well-traveled. We know what's up and everything. We have understanding. So I think the thing is just to listen to your children. Really, because at the end of the day, when I think about my own situation with my children, I'm not going to live in their homes with them.
Yeah.
I don't live here with you. Your day-to-day dealings and everything you do, it's not my business. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
So when you now put pressure on those children and they're starting their lives, and there's always, there's something between the husband and say, oh, your mother is like this, or your father did this, or this. You don't want them to start off on that kind of vibe of somebody else's opinion about what they should do.
Yeah.
It's just be prayerful. As long as you have accepted for this handsome young man to take your daughter as his wife, you have to trust the process.
That's a word.
Especially when there are people who are in prayer.
Yeah.
People who pray are not like praying by extension of my mother is a prayer warrior. That the children have to be encouraged to, say their own prayers, have their own faith. Relationship, not outside of you being there. Like, so once you have that understanding, and it's a thing of trust. Because you have to believe you have done a good enough job for those children to make the right decisions at that age. So it's a thing of trust,
And do you trust that they hear from God too,
It's trust. No, once you're in Christ, you cannot control what other people hear or what they see. Because there's a day you started seeing and hearing. So you cannot think, oh, because I'm the mother and I fast 100 times a year and this and that, I'm better than them. I always say to myself, it's like sometimes when I see the way my children pray and do all that, it's like, these children have passed it. It's like, it looks like I need to check myself. So that's the thing. It's just trust. When you have raised someone well, you have to trust them. Once they have gotten to that situation whereby they're ready to marry, they're ready to go on their own, you have to trust them. And it's just you negotiate, because it's like a lot of parts to this. So you have to negotiate certain things. Like, okay, maybe we should try this. Maybe, you discuss, like, it's not like give them an order. Like, oh, you have to do it like this or else there's nothing. You have to negotiate and have an understanding. So.
That's good. No, and I think it's hard to fully understand because parents, and I guess rightfully so, I don't know, it's a debate in my head, where it's like, oh, I've raised this child, so this wedding, this process is for me, like it's for the parent. Like some parents, I think, feel like, oh, this is their last opportunity.
I agree with that.
So it's like, how do you balance
No.
that?
You see, the thing is, I agree with that to some extent because
it's like if the child wasn't going to marry, you wouldn't have any opportunity.
No, if you didn't have the child would not have any opportunity. So let's not go there. So I had you. So no, that's why I said you have to negotiate, because you're seeing your daughter off. It's like that is the celebration of leaving the nest. So that's your job to make sure it's a good celebration. It's like when someone graduates from college, you go there, you take pictures, you paid all the school fees. It's your thing of joy that, okay, we're celebrating a graduation.
Yeah.
So now your daughter is actually going to be, she's dropping her last name. She's, living a different life with somebody. Her first point of contact is her husband, and your first point of contact is your wife.
Yeah.
So it's a celebration of leaving the nest.
Yeah.
So I think the parents, of course, they did a good job for you to get to that point. You want to marry somebody that's jacked up. We won't have a wedding if you had, if she wasn't, you know what I mean? And you wouldn't. So it's a celebration for the parents that, okay, it's like we did a great job. We present this woman to you and she's off. So you honor them in that way.
Of course, yeah. And there's room to do both. Like,
yes, that's why they do in Nigerian culture. That's why we do the engagement, which they say is for the parents.
Right,
and because these days I've been to, a couple of weddings where the white wedding, the children say, "Mommy, Daddy, you can only have 20 guests."
Yeah.
Yeah, because the adults will actually, I've been to another wedding where the parents, you think is their second wedding.
Wow.
Which is not nice,
Wow.
So because maybe they're paying for it or whatever, I don't like that. You don't want to take the shine. It's the children's day. They need something to show their children as a memory. Yeah. So the engagement, is traditional. So the parents take that one and you do, But the white wedding, let the children and their friends have a good time and have good memories. So that's the way I say it. And that's the advice I'll give, parents in my generation.
Yeah.
That let the children, let them have their day. It's their wedding at the end of the day. You paid for it, whatever, or they paid for it themselves, it's still their wedding. Let them enjoy it.
Yeah, no, and it really, really worked out for us where we were still able to get married, but then we still did the
traditional. To honor the parents.
That you all did and you really wanted to do, and great,
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, no, just again, thank you. Well, thank you for being on set with us today.
I'm happy. I've always wanted to be on your set. Always.
Well, welcome to the couch.
Welcome to the couch.
It's so cool. It's nice. I always watch you guys. I'm your number one fan,
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Like I don't have a choice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But thanks for being our mother, one of our parents.
Yes.
And for being reasonable and for being here.
Yes.
Thank you.
We appreciate.
I'm happy. I'm happy.
All right. Well,
happy to be here.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you picked up one or two things. Send this to your parents. Send it to your parents. Let them watch it. But
and let them know say Simbi's mom is so westernized. That's why she's talking like that. It's real. It's real.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should call like being reasonable, seeing it as
some people say she's
the West,
yes.
That in itself is
that's
a problem.
another video. Yeah, that's.
But
there's so many layers of problems in this world, man.
Yeah.
Only God can help us.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.